Welcome, everybody. Hello, and thank you for joining us. I hope everyone is well, and I hope we will have an interesting session today. So my name is Joanna Stewart. I represent ISANS, Immigrant Services Association of Nova Scotia, and ISANS is the host of today's session, but it is presented by our partners, and it is Erin Schmelzer from Halifax Regional Municipality and Wade Thibault from Pictou County Partnership. And of course, present here is my colleague Cliff MacDonald. So here are your presenters again. Before we begin, we'd like to acknowledge that in Nova Scotia, our work takes place in Mi'kmaq, the ancestral, unceded and traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people, and we are grateful for the peace and friendship treaty. In Nova Scotia, also, we recognize the contributions and perseverance of African Nova Scotians. And all right, you know what the session is about, but just briefly, during our time with you, we'll introduce our organizations just to give you a little bit of context, where we operate and how we operate. We will talk about rural engagement and collaborations to attract and retain, this is important, newcomers. So that portion will be presented by Cliff MacDonald and Wade Thibault from Pictou County Partnership. We will explore employer needs and community building from a municipal perspective. So here, Erin from HRM will talk to us. And I, at the very end, will talk to you, talk shop basically, talk to you about how to create a program that equally supports newcomer professionals and local employers, and it is the professional practice program. So just very briefly about ISANS. So ISANS is the largest settlement agency in Atlantic Canada. And we've been operating for over 40 years. We are quite a large organization. We have 258 full-time staff, 175 of casual or on contract staff. And our staff represents 70 countries and speaks 57 languages. So we're quite a fun place to work. And I hand it over to Cliff MacDonald, my colleague. Cliff, over to you.
Thank you so much, Joanna, and welcome everyone. As Joanna mentioned, I am with Rural Engagement, so I'm the on-border employer engager with ISANS. So what that means is I cover outside of HRM. So I cover all throughout the province, helping employers connect with our services. So as an employer engager, I liaison between our employer support services and other services at ISANS to rural communities and partners as well as employers. We provide support to help with recruitment and retention. I've been with ISANS now for just be my 11th year. One thing I've seen, it went from really just a recruitment process that employers were engaging into. Now the retention piece is extraordinarily important, because although recruiting is important, of course, retention is a huge part of it as well. And what that means for us and me as an employer engager is working with the communities throughout Nova Scotia. So understanding what's available. We don't duplicate services, so I need to know what's happening throughout the province. And in every different part of the province, there's different programs and there's different services. Even if you have partnerships and regional enterprise networks, each one may have different services. So we like to sort of navigate that area to see what's available for employers and our partners and newcomers. Of course, part of this is to promote the benefits of hiring immigrants to strengthen and diversify the workforce. And again, we cover all through mainland Nova Scotia. I do have colleagues that work in HRM to cover that area. So at ISANS, we have many different programs through many different areas in the organizations. There's a lot, like Joanna mentioned, we have quite a large number of staff, so a lot of different programming with a lot of different services and programming that assist employers as well as our clients with retention. Firstly, we have ISANS Welcoming Communities Program and Intercultural Competency Training. What these do, it aims to increase the awareness about immigration and immigrant experiences to individuals in the community. If you're a service provider or a member of the general public, this program will provide strategies to increase your ability to create safe and welcoming spaces while supporting you to move from awareness to action. Through this process, you will be able to create more welcoming communities to help retain immigrants in Nova Scotia. As you can see, we also have information sessions on the Atlantic Immigration Program. So that's the AIP. With this program, it's a federal immigration program that allows employers in Canada's 4 Atlantic provinces, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, and Prince Edward Island, to hire foreign nationals for jobs they haven't been able to fill locally. And our AIP coordinator will help with different trainings that employer needs and be able to direct employers in the right direction to go through the process. This program has been quite popular throughout the entire province, especially now that a lot of things can be done virtually. It's our English in the Workplace program. This is a 12-week training program for employed and self-employed immigrants. We offer one-on-one or group training right at the workplace or now online. You will meet with an English instructor twice a week for 2 90-minute sessions. Twice a week for 90-minute sessions. And this program will help with language in the workplace. And like I mentioned, we have many different programs scattered throughout ISANS that do help with employer retention. Myself, I'm part of the business and workforce integration team working with employers. We also work closely with another team, the employment bridging team, and they offer different bridging programs. And what these do is it gives our clients access to accurate information about the licensure process in their field of work. And we also offer training sessions and workshops with experts in the medicine, pharmacy, dentistry, nursing, and finance fields. And there's also opportunities to complete work-based engineering or trade competency assessments with an employer here in Nova Scotia. Our on-site and online recruitment and information sessions, or ORS for short. What this is, essentially, if you're an employer, you come to me and say, Cliff, I'm hiring for multiple roles. So you come to me and say, I'm hiring for multiple positions. Let's set up a time to do a recruitment session. So we'll pick a day and time that works for you, the employer, and then from our end, we'll recruit from pre-screened qualified candidates from our employment and bridging team. And then the day will come, you either come in person or, of course, virtually. The employer will talk about their place of business, what they're looking for, anything they care to share, really. Then afterwards, we'll have a few minutes set aside for the employer to meet with each of the individuals to see if they want to continue on with that candidate. So our skills matching recruitment tool is essentially it's ISANS Job Bank. I should mention too that all of our services are at no cost to employers, to Nova Scotia employers. So with the skills match, you go in, create an account like you would anywhere else. We'll go in and approve your account, and then you can start posting jobs. Now, the cool feature we have with this particular skills match tool is from our end, we also have clients whose resumes are already in the system, the skills match system. So you'll see a tab next to your job posting that says show matches. So what will happen then is any of the resumes that are already in the system that fit what you're looking for, you should be able to click on that and they should all show up there. You can open the resume and contact them directly, as our clients know that when they put the resumes in the system, that they may be contacted for an employer who's interested in hiring them. And I do also encourage employers to send directly to me, because not all of our clients put their resumes in the system. It's self-directed. So if they do that, then I can sit there and share with the whole team. That way their reach is even further. So some activities we do to engage in rural engagement would be, I have done, these are on our website. I'll post the link here after, but podcasts to engage community partners, and also champions who have been hiring through immigration. With these, it's just been a unique way of just to sort of just deliver information when somebody has time to actually time to listen and to read about it. So we just wanted to put some podcasts together. So they'll live on our site, and we're still currently doing these. I'm in the editing process of our next one, actually. And with that said, it just delivers information. It shows working with community partners. It shows employers who actually use immigration, so other employers can actually take in their expertise on that. And information sessions. For these, for instance, I just finished a 3-part webinar series where I had different programs from all across ISANS attend and present, just to deliver information to the province. This is just a great way to bring everybody together, because we're all located in different parts of the province. And of course, attending job and resource fairs, annual general meetings are a great way to keep in contact with the community, even if we can't be there at all times. Like I said, myself, I travel from one end of the province to the other, so I obviously can't be in all places at one time. So with that, this just adds that we are still there. We are still able to keep those partnerships and communications alive. So, and lastly, definitely memberships to different chamber of commerce scattered throughout the province. This is a great way to stay connected to the business community, and also a great way to see what's going on in different parts of the province, just to see what's working in one area, what may not be working in another. So it's very, it's just a great way to keep that contact. Like I said, we can't always be there in person, but we still have those connections to the community, and we've been doing them strong now for a good 10 years. So collaboration, this is the biggest thing in my 11 years that I think that I've been working on through the years, is the collaboration piece. Collaboration, I have a little saying about the collaboration piece. It's like a muscle. If you use it and you constantly use it, you're working it out, it gets bigger and it gets stronger. If you don't, it's just there. It doesn't do anything for anyone. But for the collaboration piece, again, like I mentioned about the 3-part series we had the cross team webinars about employer related programming. We do a lot of community partner events. I'll actually be touching on one that's coming up here in December. And also talking about knowing what's previously talking about what's available in the communities, having that awareness of programming and sharing opportunities. So if I'm working with Aaron or I'm working with Wade, I want to know what they have, because we don't want to duplicate their services. But if they also want to share an opportunity of, an event or job postings or anything along those lines, being good partners and working together, we're able to share that amongst our networks to get that word out there. So collaboration is definitely key. And part of that would be the external referrals. Again, we don't duplicate services throughout rural Nova Scotia unless there's absolutely a need for it. So if Wade's doing something in his area and an employer comes to me, I want to know what Wade's doing, because Wade may be able to do that, for us. So for the employer, as opposed to duplicating something that doesn't need to be duplicated. And of course, promotion on social media. So example of partners working together, it's very timely that Wade is on this call as well, because we were partnering on an event for December 5th. It's a Welcoming Workplaces employer event. We're partnering with Nova Scotia Works Career Connections and in the Glasgow Pictou area, as well as the Pictou Partnership, the Chamber of Commerce, and ISANS. What this is we're going to have representation from each of our organizations to talk about different services and programs that we do have to help with welcoming workplaces, as well as our audience will be local employers in the community. And then the afternoon piece, we set aside some time for the employers to do some recruitment with a job fair. And again, it's just great bringing people under one roof and showing the community, engagement and collaboration. There's nothing worse than if an employer or anyone goes to an organization and that organization may not have the information for them, and then it stops there, and then they have to start the process over again. We're trying to make that so, okay, we don't necessarily do that, but I think they do. And then we're just connecting them. So connecting is really helpful for employers and community partners. So my final slide is just here are some of the committees and councils that I do sit on throughout the province. I'm hoping to get onto more, but obviously capacity, it can only engage in so much, but we do try to spread it out throughout the province to make sure that we are having a face at the table and making sure that we are being involved in the community and letting people know that we're here to help. I will touch on the very last one I do have listed, which is our ISANS Employer Advisory Council, the EAC. What this council is made up of different employers and community partners from all across Nova Scotia, as well as from the provincial government. So what we do, we meet on a quarterly basis. We bring ideas to the table. We listen to the employers and business partners in the province, and we start developing different programming, additional programming on top of what we already provide. And just to make sure that we're evolving where we need to, especially as immigration is set to really increase over the years. And that is it for me. I do thank everyone for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
And I will ask Wade Thibault now to present. Wade's perspective is really important because, as you may know, we are a small and remote province. So Wade operating in Pictou County will have some good stuff to tell us, some good tricks to share, hopefully.
Thanks, Joanna. Hello, everybody. My name is Wade Thibault, and I'm the Director of Business Development and Innovation here at the Pictou County Partnership. My colleague, Becky Cowan, who's our Director of Immigration and Community Integration, leads most of our work on this work, but she is currently at the Destination Canada Labour Mobility Forum in Paris and Rabat. And so I'm going to do my best to step into her shoes today. So I just wanted to start off with a little bit about Pictou County to kind of give you a picture of our region and our community. So we are in rural Nova Scotia. Within the red kind of dotted outline are our county boundaries. We have a total population in the county of just over 43,000 people. Our median age is 50 years and our median income is 64,000. And at 4.9%, the job vacancy rate is double the level of pre-pandemic. So it goes to show that the work on attracting skilled labor is very important to our strategy moving forward. And just as a kind of aside, that sales and service jobs and trades related jobs are the most in demand currently in our region. So immigration at the partnership, we do take a attraction and retention focused approach in our work and setting up employers and newcomers for success. So a lot of our support is employer driven with our business outreach team in our organization that engages with the business community every day and doing one-on-one support with businesses on a bunch of different aspects, but one of those being looking at their workforce development and their labor needs. And so then we actually refer to Becky and her team on helping them become immigration ready. So attraction is based on employer-driven needs, as I mentioned. So depending on what they have for gaps in their workforce, then that obviously is who we want to attract. We want to make sure that we are matching newcomers to positions that they will succeed in. And connecting local employers to that talent, both within and outside of Canada. An example of some of our work includes the Pictou County Labour Mobility Pilot, which connected skilled refugees to employers using the Economic Mobility Pathways Pilot. Here, it's all about collaboration at the local level and beyond. So these are some of the organizations that we work with around this pilot program, which saw refugees from Kenya come to work in long-term care facilities in our region, including Glenhaven Manor and the McLeod Group. We work closely with YMCA Center for Immigrant Programming, which we're lucky to have in our region as a settlement agency. Also Safe Harbor Pictou County, which supports newcomers to the region. And then looking beyond that, Talent Beyond Boundaries, Refuge Point, and the Shapiro Foundation are fantastic partners. And of course, the province Labor Skills and Immigration Department and the Federal Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada also support our work on this. So then moving on from there, we have our Kudos Employer Immigration Program supports employers in becoming immigration ready. And that's where we're looking to support employers with providing a pathway to permanent residency for their new hires. And that's a way to not only attract, but retain the newcomers as well. So there's all kinds of benefits. And when we're looking at this from our perspective in a rural community, obviously it adds to our community diversity, our economic and population growth. Typically a rural area in Nova Scotia, we're only now starting to see some growth after years of decline. And then education and healthcare improvements and innovation as well. And then obviously filling our labor needs. But so employers do become immigration ready using the Atlantic Immigration Program, which Cliff mentioned earlier, and the Nova Scotia Nomination Program. So our tool development is to further support employers and newcomers in being successful. When looking at retention, we want to offer employers support in developing more inclusive and welcoming workplaces. But communities also need to play a role, especially in a rural context. So it becomes a great opportunity for collaboration with partners. And some examples would include our Kudos Immigration Ready Employer Workbook, which you'll see some images there on the screen. We also have an employer guide to inclusive and welcoming workplaces, and also offer some more training, workshop development, that type of thing, one-on-one support for employers. Other tools that we have created, we have a 92-page guide sharing information about Pictou County. We also have a 41-page guide to supporting settling in Pictou County. So this would be more on the outside of Canada attraction retention piece. And then we also have a series of videos that help newcomers feel more comfortable exploring their community spaces. So we have a series of videos, including 360-degree immersive experiences, so that newcomers can actually experience our region and become more comfortable with it before they even arrive. And they're able to understand our facilities that we have here, including our recreation facility, our farmers markets, our libraries, kind of key infrastructure that's all kind of critical in settling into their new home. We also have a program that we do in collaboration with community partners and organizations to collectively foster a welcoming community. And our Many Hands program approach has been developed to complement the work of our other settlement partners at the YMCA Center for Immigrant Programs, which helps match newcomers to volunteer opportunities in our community. So again, in rural areas, in traditionally volunteering, with an aging population, just like we have labor needs, we also have needs for volunteers. And so this is a great way to help integrate newcomers into the community. They get to meet people from the community, give back to the community, and help match skill sets to vacant volunteer opportunities as well. So Sarah Santos, who is a newcomer to our community, actually now leads this project for our organization, and we're seeing great success. And when we're looking specifically at the retention piece, when career opportunities don't align necessarily with newcomer ambitions, or we offer support in becoming entrepreneurs as an economic integration program to support community retention. So oftentimes when we welcome families, a principal candidate will be arriving with a job opportunity already secured, but their partner, the outlook may be more challenging. And so our kind of wraparound and holistic approach with our newcomer business navigation program, it's ready to support their individual needs so that all members of the family can see a future here in our region, and to make sure that if they see opportunity here in our community, that we help support them in seizing that. I just want to end briefly on the note that it does take a village. This photo was taken at our newcomer social event held this past spring, where we annually welcome newcomers to our community and the community members at large to come together, share a meal. And we also invited newcomers to showcase their talents, and that included musical performances, poetry, even circus acts. And it's just a way for people to, get to know one another and share a meal. We know that food is often one of those things when it comes to retention. And in our newcomer business navigation program, we've actually had great success with entrepreneurs who are starting food-related businesses, as we see an increase of newcomers to our community and increasing size of specific, communities. One example being our Filipino and Asian grocery store that opened in Stellarton in our county. They just underwent their second expansion this year. So, it goes to show that we are having success in attracting and retaining, and it all adds to the diversity of our community, and we are better for it. So thank you for the opportunity to showcase a little bit about our county, and I'll hand it back to Joanna.
Thank you, Wade. This is great, and it really you can really appreciate this when you come from a big place like Ontario. When you look how tiny Pictou County is, and how much effort and a cool effort it takes to attract and retain people there. All right, so I'm handing it over to Erin, who will present from a very different perspective, because Halifax is our largest city, and Halifax Regional Municipality is also a large employer. Erin, take it away.
Thank you, Joanna. So good morning, and thank you for welcoming us today. To provide a little bit of information about our landscape at Halifax Regional Municipality, we consist of 4 former municipalities of Halifax, Dartmouth, Bedford, and Halifax County. Our population is growing, and we're at approximately 475,000 people in just the HRM region. HRM is home to 55% of the people who immigrate to Atlantic Canada, and 80% of those who immigrate to Nova Scotia, which is really exciting. And to give you a little bit of an idea, we employ approximately 4,000 to 6,000 employees, including our seasonal folks and employees who support our various rec programs, Halifax Fire, Police, Transit, Home and Property, Local Business, and City Hall, to name a few of our functions. So we are fortunate enough to be recognized as a top employer, and for some of the reasons I'm sure you're used to hearing from recruiters. Shameless plug, of course I'm a recruiter, so I'm going to try and sell you on that. But we have a lot of career mobility internally and a diverse range of professional growth opportunities. We really believe in evolving strength from within and promoting from within. We have a lot of internal learning and development classes, self-directed online training courses, workshops, seminars, educational reimbursements, paid internship programs, apprenticeship programs, coaching and mentoring, and internal secondments and temporary work assignments that are supported in different work areas. So we are a highly unionized environment, but the good news is we pride ourselves in taking on folks through the professional practice programs in our non-union positions. We source local candidates with international talent, and that will be crucial in the next 5 years because we are facing a very high volume of retirements in our organization. So in collaboration with our learning and development team, we're working on creating success planning with our internal employees so we have a better understanding of who in the organization has talent in different areas and will be willing and able to step up into roles that require talent from within, and then we'll know what we're looking for when we're seeking external talent. So we've done a lot of work recently since January. We have 6 underrepresented populations here at Halifax Regional Municipality. So we recognize African Nova Scotians, racially visible persons, women in occupations or positions where they're underrepresented in the workforce, Indigenous, Aboriginal people, persons with disabilities, and 2S LGBTQ+ persons. So we've done a lot of educating with our hiring managers, and part of our staffing plan conversations is to talk about what a designated and or preferred competition looks like. And an integral part of our mandate is to increase our employee group to better represent the population of the communities that we live in and serve. So we've incorporated a discussion with hiring managers to talk about those diverse hires, and they have increased since January of 2023, upwards of 41% of our external hires, which is a big win for HRM. So how does the professional practice program enrich our organization and can enrich yours? We have so many people that come through the doors, specifically unbiased in HR, that Joanna has connected us with, and we've been really successful. Within weeks, these folks usually end up in term or permanent positions because we've had such a great matching program with the work of all the ISANS folks. And we're really beginning to value the part that if you stayed in a career not long ago, we're talking 30 years ago, if you stayed in that same job, that job would evolve up to 25% of the span of a person's career. And now the market is facing that it changes up to 65%. So if you stay in the same position for your whole career, you have to evolve and change. So we know that we can't hire for today's ceiling. We're always hiring people with potential to do more. So if I can give anyone any advice, that's definitely what you should be doing, is looking at the potential of your candidates and working with them to evolve them and give them the tools they need to work up in the organization. Thank you so much for your time today, and I'm going to pass it back over to Joanna.
Thank you, Erin. Yes, and so we're coming to the part of the presentation where we thought we would dive into in a little bit more detail into a program that gives amazing benefits to both newcomer professionals and employers. It's one of those super effective programs and sort of easy for employers to try when they consider diversifying their workforce. They haven't been there yet, and it really works particularly well in our province. Now, I don't know, I don't see you and I can't hear you, so I don't know who's in the audience. And this will be, of course, most interesting for settlement agencies who are considering setting up their own professional practice program, but it also may be interesting for employers. And I hope it is fascinating for funders, because these programs have to be funded. They are really practical. So basically, the program helps bridge the employment gaps, right? By connecting local employers with newcomer professionals. And in our formula, the professional practice program is basically a 6-week, full-time, regular office hours, professionally relevant engagement that is modeled on student internship. So pretty much everything is like a student co-op, but I don't work with students necessarily. I work with professionals who have work experience, and that is our promise to the local employers, that in exchange for hosting our client, they get a temporary help of a true professional. The program comes in either unpaid or paid format. It is really dependent on the will of the employer. Every participant that joins the program from our side decides to volunteer. And it's interesting because it's also a risk-free proposition for employers, because ISANS covers workplace injury insurance during the duration of the work placement. So what does this program do? For newcomers, of course, it removes that perceived barrier of lack of relevant experience in Canada. Even though it's a short-term engagement, it works like this, like a badge of approval. It basically says, yeah, this person can do the job in Canada. It provides local references, increases Canadian workplace cultural competence, of course, and very crucially develops professional networks, particularly important in our small province. For employers, it is fantastic because it just adds a no risk, no cost, short-term capacity boost. It also serves as a great hiring tool. Like if an employer is not certain of a candidate, they can get to know them and test their skills before offering employment. And finally, of course, it diversifies the workplaces, and we know that's beneficial for everybody. Just very briefly about eligibility criteria that are set for both participants and employers. So of course, funder improved immigration status. So for us, it's pretty much, the shortcut would be pretty much with everybody with a work permit. That's how you can approach it. We require that the participant does not have work experience in their field in Canada yet. We require that participants complete our proprietary job search and strategy workshop, but an equivalent from elsewhere is also possible, but we want them to understand the job market, to be prepared for interviewing, to be prepared for targeting and constructing their resumes. And we set the minimum CLB benchmark at 5. But higher is preferred. We just basically, it's case to case. We need to ensure that the participant is able to function in an office environment in their field. There are some eligibility criteria for employers as well. So first of all, the employer has to have a bricks and mortar regular address. They have to have an office. They must have minimum of 3 other employees. They have to provide a professionally relevant experience, right? So an accountant cannot be placed at the reception. And importantly, they have to dedicate a supervisor, someone who will mentor our client through that process. All right, so employers. So this is, of course, this is a great proposition when there is a little bit of that gap between what the labor market needs and what is available. So it's important to build your obviously employer network. And I found it that our program functions really well with municipal and provincial government partners. And they would be the first sort of port of call for anybody who wishes to set up this sort of program. And it is because they have vested interest in settling newcomers, that they are mandated to do so. They are typically large organizations, so have capacity to host. They employ a spectrum of various professions, so they can also accommodate clients with various professional fields. And importantly, they have equity, diversity, and inclusion policies in place, so they are also, you know, an engaged and safe employer to recommend to commerce. The next employers that we recommend have to be approached are small employers, the innovators, those who are hungry for success, perhaps don't have a huge structure, are a little bit more flexible, a little bit more open-minded. They will be happy with those short-term capacity boosts. Not-for-profits, well, first of all, they typically have quite extensive EDI policies and values, so would be open also to hosting newcomers. And then finally, corporations with local head offices. You must be able to talk to decision makers. And so you know, in my experience, talking to large companies that are headquartered in Ontario just it's not very effective. And finally, outcomes. So I said at the beginning that this is a very practical program that works, and the outcomes are amazing. So 70% of participants do get employed in their profession within 3 months of completing their work placement, or sometimes even during. And Erin mentioned that very often when we place someone within HRM, they never leave HRM. Their contract morphs into temporary or full-time employment right away. So 31st of the participants get employed by host. And then 97% of client satisfaction. 97, it's not 100, because sometimes people take opportunities that are way below their interests or level of expertise, and they just get bored, so they don't feel like they are learning anything. Or maybe they come in with higher expectations and think a 6-week work placement can suddenly lend them a directorial role. So very, very small number of disappointed clients. Employers, however, are 100% satisfied, and they host again. So this is great. Once you convince an employer to host professional practice placements, they do come back. So that's great. And I am willing, if anybody in the audience is interested in the sort of nitty-gritty details of setting up a program like this for your agency, I'm very happy sharing what I know. And I think that's it. We came to the end of our session. If there are any questions for us, we'll be happy to answer. Erin, Cliff, do you see any questions for us to answer? Or maybe there are questions coming up now?
Cliff's been doing an awesome job of answering people as they reach out and lead.
There was one question, Aaron, I think this was asked during your presentation. Do you know how many of the 2S LGBTQ plus newcomers are benefiting by your employment programs in Nova Scotia?
Oh, that's a great question. We're working on, so we're in between HRIS systems right now. We're working on rolling out what we call Employee Central, which can gather data from current employees who are comfortable disclosing this information. So we don't have a great understanding of the current state. A couple of years ago, they did do a survey via, I know this is going to make your ears hurt, paper, but we're trying to set up an electronic survey. So those folks who feel comfortable disclosing, it would just be used for reporting purposes so that we can understand what groups we should continue to focus on increasing in our diversity. So more to come. We don't have that information at our fingertips yet, but we hope to in the near future.
Yeah, and from my end as well, I don't have the statistics, I don't have rigid numbers, just sort of anecdotal evidence of dealing with clients who are LGBTQ plus and get successfully employed in Halifax as well.
And it's a great thing to point out though, because we do find folks who are being more comfortable with disclosing and self-identifying, that there are a lot of people that actually identify in more than one of our 6. So it's an excellent point that you brought up, and we are aware that we do have a large employee group that most likely does, and we will be excited to be able to capture that information so we can create proper onboarding and orientation for those folks.
Yeah, and I think from ISANS standpoint, if anyone's interested, I think from our settlement team would be the best place to start to get that information for us as they move on to the employment and bridging programs. Myself, I don't have that information, but again, it's a very good question, and like I said, lots of potential to make sure we're engaging all populations. So,
yeah, I think there are more questions in Q&A box.
okay.
It's sort of weird where we cannot see you people. We cannot trust you're there, but
We're talking about somebody just mentioned bridge employment gaps. I'm not sure what that question is, but yeah, definitely we're all working together to bridge those gaps. And also there's another question. I am interested in the program that you presented on and being able to offer something similar outside of HRM that could be matched up with local employers as well. Not sure if this is already happening. That would be for you, Joanna, I believe.
that would be so. Cliff, would you be able to post my email address in the chat box? So I'm very happy connecting.
Yeah, I'm not sure if everyone else is seeing the chat box. So maybe after, because the chat box I believe is just for presenters. So that's just appearing.
In the Q&A, we cannot enter anything. Yeah,
I can put that in there. Just one sec. I'll add it into the Q&A.
Yeah, so absolutely, I'm very happy sharing more information about the program. And someone was asking about employment and bridging, and do I understand correctly? It's about, have we actually bridged any gaps? And you know what, if that's the question, I definitely from my experience, yeah, like it seems like we're doing a good job. There are those waves of clients with accounting background and a huge need of accountants, and that seems to, we work hard to bridge these gaps, and then that seems to wane, and then suddenly, I don't know, HR professionals or admin professionals, like it seems that our bridging programs, our sort of efforts to bridge these gaps really work. Anything else?
Do you provide financial literacy resources for your clients to help educate them about how things work in Canada?
That's a great question, and I don't know if I can answer it. I know that we organize a lot of information sessions about all kinds of stuff, anything from mortgages to retirement savings to business banking and all of that. I know for sure it is done for aspiring entrepreneurs. So anything you need as an entrepreneur to be, for sure, there are information sessions. Would financial literacy, so at a very basic level, be part of settlement? I don't know, because none of us.
Sorry,
it is,
Joanna.
yeah.
It
There
is,
you
sorry.
go. Yeah.
I had worked on settlement a number of years ago, and with the settlement piece, there is a financial literacy to understand like the currency, and just basically starting from the first point, as well as any type of financial working with loans and things like that as well. So yeah, it is part. I'm sorry, the name of the course fails me now, but it is part of the settlement process in terms of sports.
Yeah, awesome. And then of course for accountants, we have all kinds of very specific programs, like we teach QuickBooks, and we teach finances and accounting language, vocabulary, and things like that. So anything from very basic literacy knowledge to quite specific, preparing people to just go in and work right away.
Okay, that seems to be it for questions, Joanna.
All right, so we did pretty well. It's 1:32. We are going to finish a little bit earlier if no more questions are coming up. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. We do hope we shared some interesting insights and inspired you a little bit. Yeah, enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.